I'm ready. What up? Let's get to it. You hear me? Now it's going to be a big question about whether or not Alabama should get in the playoffs. In about 3 hours, we'll find out. And you've seen the debating already begin, huh? Analysts, certain players, former Alabama players, even talk about how Alabama shouldn't get in. Even clowns like Mark Ingram, huh? Heavy talking about trying to find reasons that Alabama shouldn't be in the playoff, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But it's nothing new, nothing new. We've seen it before, right? From Greg McElroy, et cetera. For some reason, these guys want to come out the woodworks and always vouch for Alabama not being a playoff team rather than being a playoff team. Even though if you compare and you break down what the committee will look at and the principles of the college football playoff, you know, reasons why one team should get in, reasons why the other team shouldn't get in, right? Huh? It's clear to see, huh? Clear as day, dog, that Bama is one of the top 12 teams in college football, period. And they should be in the NCAA college football playoff, period. Heavy. Now, yeah, they got dominated by Georgia, beat by Georgia, all that. I give Georgia that respect, hats off to Georgia, GG's heavy, period. But at the end of the day, just like things that the committee will look at, right? Huh? You have to weigh in injuries. Bama has been banged up for weeks now. Some of their best players were not playing this game, period. You can't ignore that fact. And you also cannot ignore the fact that Bama went to Georgia, went to Athens, Georgia, and beat Georgia at home earlier this season, period. It's no way you can deny that fact. So yeah, boom, okay, they went to the SEC championship game, got beat, boom, all right, period. But that doesn't take away the victory that they have against Georgia. So at the end of the day, it's really a tiebreaker if they play each other again in the playoffs, right? Yeah, that alone should put them in the playoffs, bro. Heavy. If we're talking about the criteria and the level of different ways, everything the committee will be looking at, them beating Georgia, that alone should put them and keep them in the playoffs. Huh? You hear me? Yeah. Yeah, man. It's no way you kick Bama out of the playoffs, especially after bumping them up over Notre Dame last week to the number 9 position. Right? Right. You hear me? Now, if anything, I will understand maybe, just maybe, if they move Bama to 10, then put Notre Dame at 9. All right, bet. Boom, I can deal with that. I can live with that, even though I don't think Notre Dame should be ranked ahead of Bama. Everybody want to focus on the Florida State loss. First of all, stop the cap. First of all, it doesn't matter, period. That was the first game of the season. And we know it was one of them games, one of them days, right? Where Bama didn't bring their A game. They weren't mentally prepared, physically prepared, etc. And we know no excuses. That's on them, Kalen DeBoer and his staff and his players and personnel, right? But at the end of the day, that's the first game of the season. And if you compare resumes, look at Bama's resume, compare it to Notre Dame's resume, right? Compare it to Miami's resume. Heavy is totally different. We're talking about strength of schedule, one of the toughest schedules, if not the toughest schedule in the nation. We're talking about Bama playing in the SEC, overall the best conference in the land, in the nation. You can't ignore these things. We're talking about top wins, correct? Top wins. If you compare Bama's best wins to to Miami's and Notre Dame's best wins, it's a landslide, right? It's not even close, baby. You hear me? Heavy. And I'm not just saying this because I'm a Bama fan and I want to see Bama in the playoffs, this and that. Boom. No, we talking real facts and stats here. And everything the committee say it grades teams off of, everything they said they would be looking at, right? Huh? It's no way they could bump Bama out of the college football playoff bracket. Huh? Yeah. If you're comparing them to Notre Dame and Miami. It's no way in hell that Bama doesn't get in. We know what type of team Bama is, fully healthy. You hear me? Period. And when they show up and bring their A game, we seen Bama mano a mano line up and beat Georgia at home, a convincing win at that. Period. And the score should have been more than that. Bama let them slide back in early. Yeah. But at the end of the day, they went there and they beat Georgia. Yeah. And let alone, don't forget about the gauntlet they went through in the SEC. Beat four straight ranked teams back to back to back to back. Some games at home, huh? Yeah. Some games away. You hear me? Period, dog. Heavy. Went to Auburn at night when the schedule got changed. Went to Auburn at night. Us as Bama fans know how difficult it is to win in Auburn, how crazy of an atmosphere it is in Auburn. And you want to talk to me about who should be in Notre Dame or Miami over Bama? Stop the cap, kill that noise, period. And at the end of the day, no team should be penalized, especially playing in the SEC championship. You hear me? In the toughest conference in the land, in the nation, period. How the hell you going to penalize a team for making it to the SEC championship while you got other teams sitting at home, didn't have to prove nothing, didn't have to earn nothing as well? It's no way you can kick Bama out. And at the end of the day, guess what? If they do, this is going to leave room for teams not playing in their conference championship game. Because shit, what for? Yeah, what the hell for? If you will be penalized for working hard, grinding hard, winning certain games, winning a certain amount of games to make it to your SEC conference championship, then you just boom, get penalized if you lose. I don't care how you lose or how bad they lost, period. Heavy. Especially when you take injuries into consideration. And that's one of the factors the committee will look at. So all the way around across the board, whatever you want to name, an array of things, an array of situations, it's no way Bama can be put out or kicked out of the college football playoff, period. Yeah, in my opinion, I don't care how bad they look offensively, right? You hear me? I don't care how bad Georgia beat them in the SEC championship game. You hear me? Guess what? They were there. They were playing, period. And they should not be, I repeat, should not be penalized for that. Early, dog, early. You talk about a team who bounced back, won some tough games. So we know the level, the standard they can play at when they bring and play their best ball. You also can't ignore the fact they have a championship caliber defense. If the offense can help them out, shit, your defense can only last so long. You hear me? They can only be on the field so long until they start to fatigue, start to get tired, right? The attrition sets in till they start to get frustrated, mad, etc. But the committee can't ignore the fact that Bama has a elite defense and an elite offense when it's clicking on all cylinders, And we can speak on the regression of Ty Simpson, boom. We can speak on the regression of Ryan Grubb as a play caller, boom. We can speak on the old offensive line, horrible, piss poor play at times, boom, period. But that still doesn't take away the fact that Bama should remain in the college football playoff. Heavy, huh? You hear me, huh? Heavy. Yeah. It's no way around that. No matter what situation, no matter what narrative they want to portray, that what picture they want to paint, right? You cannot leave Bama out of the college football playoff. Period, man. For real. Heavy. If that's the case, Bama should have just declined the invitation. Now, does Bama have things to work on? Hell yeah. Do they need to get better? Hell yeah. But they still remain one of the top 12 teams in the nation. And it would be an atrocity to keep them out. No way you can put Miami ahead of them, right? No. A team who lost to who? Huh? What is Miami's best win? Don't worry. I'll wait. Fire them comments up and let me know who against who Miami's best win is. You talk about Notre Dame. Who is Notre Dame's best win? You hear me? Period. Early, dog. Early, dog. Heavy. Now, like I said, if they want to put Bama in 10 and scoot Notre Dame to 9, all right, cool, bet. Boom. I'd be cool with that. I would understand that move, that maneuver. But totally kicking Bama out of the football playoff? Hell to the no, baby. You hear me? Ain't no way, huh? Ain't no way in hell you remove Bama from the playoff bracket. No way. Nah. Not if they're judging for real off of all the criterias they named, you know? And we know how the committee is. They wishy-washy. They're very hypocritical at times, right? They change their tunes, damn near lie at times. Talk about what they observing, what are they paying attention to, huh? Yeah. So they go back and forth on the criteria of what they're grading teams on. Yeah. But any situation, circumstance you want to create, no. It's not enough evidence at all, right? Yeah, to keep Bama out of the playoff. Bama should be in, whether it's at number 9 or number 10, it don't matter. Their resume alone speaks for itself, what they did throughout the season, period. And that's one of the things the committee is judging on: strength of schedule, etc. Best wins, worst losses, etc. Dog, heavy, homie. You hear me? So with that being said, hell yeah, I think Bama should and will make the college football playoff. And you give them boys 2 weeks of rest when they get everybody back. A lot of injuries, man. A lot of injuries on the Bama side of the football, period. Defensively and offensively. Up front on the O-line, defensively on the trenches and on the D-line. So these are all things you got to take into consideration, right? Heavy, bro. You hear me? No cap. You got Quavis out, a legitimate solid tight end. You know, Jam Miller out, a legitimate solid running back. You know, heavy. So I expect the committee to do the right thing. Not only what's right morally, you know, have some integrity, but the right thing for college football. Heavy, huh? You hear me? Period, bro. No cap. Yeah, hands down, man down. You know? It is what it is. Ain't no way around it at this point. You know? Period. Yeah. And that's my take. That's my opinion on it, man. Yeah. Fire them comments up. Let me know how you feel about the video. Should Bama be in, or do you think they should be out? Let me know, bro. You know what it is. Big skull here. Big skull here. Roll Tide full of pride. Win, lose, or draw forever. Yeah. We coming. Believe that.